Hello YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. So occasionally I'll do something like this where I just kind of look at stuff that I haven't looked at for a while and do another kind of ranking of different movies. This is again just the scary stuff, and I know this is kind of looking at a sheet here of different movies. I can't remember the website they looked at, but it was like a kind of a top 15 or so of each decade. So, I don't, there's a lot of movies listed here. Just to go through some of these, the top one, all these are listed by the website. I put in Babadook, but there's The Exorcist, of course, Carrie, Suspiria, Dawn of the Dead, Halloween, Phantasm, Alien, Jaws, The Shining, Friday the 13th, American Werewolf in London, The Evil Dead, Poltergeist, The Thing, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Fright Night, The Fly, Child's Play, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, The Blob, Tremors, Sounds of the Lambs, Candyman, Scream, The Ring, The Blair Witch Project, Sixth Sense, Saw, The Descent, The Orphanage, Let the Right One In, Strangers, Insidious, Let Me In, Sinister, The Conjuring, and It. I have some others as well. I was going to put in on this guy, Medieval Horror, Omen. Of course, all the sequels. We're not covering sequels here. It looks like this is kind of a trend in this, at least in this one. Plus The Orphan, Mama, Gremlins. So I gave some of these guys not necessarily 1 to 10 ratings. I used to do that, but kind of a 2 or 3 ratings, kind of a slash marker if I didn't want to include it too much. If it wasn't really particularly psychologically frightening or supernaturally kind of oriented. A lot of realistic stuff I just think isn't quite in the realm of what I'm talking about with horror. Or scary stuff sometimes. It is very frightening if you're chased down by a bunch of big guys with weapons, but that's more of a realistic kind of scenario if you're just in a bad place in a city or something and late at night. There's no supernatural characters or entities, so it's not exactly, it's a different kind of thing. So I looked at least 15, try to go for about 15, we'll say, I hate to use the word franchises, but, I hate that word. It sounds like a fast food. It's just, I hate to have any, I don't like to have any video like this I make about the business end of this stuff. It's very not what I'm after, but if I just got 15 of these guys, well, then the 15 that I think are very, very frightening and kind of timeless and just stick with you. They stick with you no matter what. There's a whole bunch of movies that have been made. A lot of them are garbage. A lot of them are okay, but they kind of are very repetitive from older topics. So here we go. These are my 15 that kind of stick with me a little bit. The Exorcist, and that's including The Exorcist 3 as well, because there's a few other ones, but definitely not Exorcist 2. That one stinks. So Exorcist 1 and 3 is one train of thought. The Shining, definitely. The Silence of the Lambs is another one. The Conjuring, and there's a few reasons why it's not quite as strong as some of these other guys, but It, of course, but it's debatable whether it's the old one or the new one you like better. Combine the two and you get the best of both of them, and yeah. So anyway, a Medieval Horror, again, not quite as strong in some respects, but still pretty terrifying. First two of them or so. The Omen, because it's depends on kind of what kind of person you are, but it can get on your skin a little bit. The Orphan, not listed on the main website, but I thought it was particularly well done. Sinister, maybe not quite as strong, debatably, but music is amazing, and I like Ethan Hawke. The Orphanage, some Spanish stuff. Insidious, Child's Play. Now, a few others that are kind of a little bit more, they have some gross stuff. And Rosemary's Baby and Wicker Man are both pretty stinking intense and very, very, very dark. Basically almost evil. And The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which is maybe not quite as frightening as some of the other ones, but of these 15, we can kind of see some of the big, at least most of the big trends for movies these days. Now, I didn't include Paranormal Activity and Blair Witch Project and all that stuff because they're great movies for the budget that they're on. But yeah, not quite up to snuff with these guys. And M. Night Shyamalan is great, but not super great at making scary movies. But very family friendly, more family friendly, of course. So looking at these guys, I can just guarantee you that the movies, The Exorcist spawned so many other movies. It's just insane. It's just so The Exorcist is definitely not going anywhere. That whole idea. The Shining stands on its own. I don't know if you see too many other movies like The Shining. Well, maybe you do, but they're not quite as directly connected with some of the concepts, maybe. But it's the idea of an influence of a building or influence of other spirits on parents, a dad, in a scary movie. Silence of the Lambs is more crime thriller type thing, but because it shows, it's kind of like, I have seen a movie about, and maybe I should have included it here, about there's the John Wayne Gacy movie, but that's not the one I'm thinking of. It's darn it. There's another movie about a serial killer, rapist, other stuff. Oh, Jeffrey Dahmer. It was so dark that I didn't include it here, but if you want to put a 16th one, maybe substitute for Exorcism of Emily Rose, would be the Jeffrey Dahmer movie with Jeremy Renner. But it's so dark and evil that, like, it makes you want to vomit. It's hard to watch the whole thing, and I wouldn't recommend it unless you have a very strong stomach or policeman or something. Anyway, so that's up there too. But there's kind of the crime drama kind of side of things with Silence of the Lambs, and the idea of very evil people doing very evil things to people and that stuff. It's a bit more realistic, I mentioned. So I try not to get to that too much, but there's a side to this with Anthony Hopkins that really just kind of, it's pretty insane. I also, I did not include The Rite. It's kind of like the Exorcist ideas, but The Rite, it's actually a pretty decent movie. It's just, anyway, I think Anthony Hopkins is just amazing anyway. So, and I didn't include Vincent Price movies or Christopher Lee movies, although Christopher Lee did the original Wicker Man. So I mean, both those guys are amazing. But yeah, this is kind of like 1970s on kind of thing. Anyway, so I'm sure I'm forgetting some folks too up there, but The Omen, we've already kind of covered The Exorcist. Certain, I don't want to just say just Catholic. In fact, there's some other stuff going on with The Omen. But there's the kind of religious bent to all this stuff. But something just kind of gets in your skin, and it had Gregory Peck, very good actor. So then you have The Orphan, which I personally thought was one of the more frightening movies in recent times. Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of like The Omen in some respects, but different. Sinister. It's kind of, it kind of stands on its own a little bit. But again, Christopher Young's music is so insanely good. The Orphanage, just awesome. Again, very Catholic Spain in this case. But Insidious, just a great movie, stands on its own. Child's Play was kind of the whole puppet thing. So I guess there's other movies like Annabelle and something involving some other one involving puppets that it's kind of, anyway, this puppet that kind of slowly turns his head. That's pretty scary. But okay, so Child's Play, it's pretty iconic. And I mentioned Rosemary's Baby and Wicker Man and The Exorcism of Emily Rose is probably kind of a continuation of the Exorcist ideas, just kind of mixing in more real life stuff with documentary stuff with all this stuff. So I guess if I would put kind of a Jeffrey Dahmer movie, the Jeffrey Dahmer movie with Jeremy Renner is probably a 16th or in place of the Exorcism of Emily Rose. But let me know what you guys think. This is not necessarily a top 10 or top 15 thing. I still think The Exorcist 3. The Exorcist 3 is probably the best scary movie of all time. It could be debatable, but I've seen so many scary movies. Like, I can tell you, there's a whole bunch of movies that have jump scares and have a lot of I mean, there was a pretty decent movie made a while back about the catacombs and the labyrinth beneath Paris. But it was a lot more of young people running around, just it's just there's some movies that kind of appeal to ADHD people more than others. I just that stuff is just it's just cheap to me. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'll catch you guys later. Thanks. Bye.